1, 2, 3. Hello, we can't delay it for more. So it's 10:07, and this is the time when we're glad to welcome you on this anniversary to telematics. We hold the event for the 10th time, and it means 10 times more people, 10 times more expertise, content, and fun in the evening. But unfortunately, I have less than 10 minutes to explain how we'll survive it. First, please make some noise who enjoyed yesterday's training sessions. Yeah, make some applause who enjoyed yesterday's training sessions. Because today you'll be just amazed. We'll start with a presentation by Gurtam heads and top management. At 12 p.m., we'll check if Marriott's facilities are able to handle these 600 people making a group photo. So don't forget to be with us on the stairs of Marriott Hotel, just near the riverbank, to be a part of something big. Then at 12:30, we'll have lunch in 2 restaurants, just like yesterday. And for all this time, our hardware manufacturer's exhibition is working for you. So walk around and see it for yourself. What latest developments they've prepared in terms of trackers, sensors, and any other additional equipment like video telematic, ADAS, and much more. 32 companies are waiting for you there, just near the Falcon halls. Then at 2:30, all those who managed to take their eyes off the shiny new equipment are divided into groups to visit workshops and discussions. The topics are multiple. You don't believe it. It's sales, marketing, technology, marketing, HR, and finally, marketing. So choose one workshop right now, not to hesitate then. At the end of the day, at 6 p.m., we welcome you in these 2 restaurants, Fornello and Riverside, for our welcoming dinner. And for all other things remain the same. Enjoy your time. Ask questions you can use today. We are like 600 people in one hall, so use your chat to ask questions. I'll read them in the end of the presentation, or ask questions live. But be sure to have the microphone in your hands. It is needed for our video streaming. Dear partners, colleagues, and friends, telematics now continues, and it continues with a presentation of Aliaksandr Kuushynau, who will speak about 1 year overview. By the way, please also make some noise whose year was just amazing. Make some noise, make some applause. Yeah. But your year wasn't as amazing as the year of Aliaksandr Kuushynau. Let me check. Aliaksandr Kuushynau had a run in a criminal district in Johannesburg, spent Victory Day in Boston, ate tacos in Mexico, didn't pay for a towel in Dubai, and spent family vacation in Georgia, was stuck in Bogota. He begged me to tell me all this because in his presentation there is only room for you and Wialon. So let's welcome Aliaksandr Kuushynau, Chief Wialon Officer and the head of Wialon Division, on stage.
Thank you, Kirill. Thank you. Thank you for the nice intro. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the telematics. I cannot believe even that there are so many of us here. There are a lot of familiar faces and lots of new ones. I'm glad to see you all here in Minsk. Welcome to the telematics. And I have a mixture of feelings right now. On the one hand, it's both excitement and responsibility. We have this huge event. But on the other hand, you cannot even imagine how happy I am, how happy everyone is Gurtam. What a great honor it is for us to have that many guests here. I do remember how the idea of hosting the very first conference came to me around 10 years ago. At that time, that's my presentation actually. At that time when I was still young, I took part in various international activities, including political congresses. I've met some countries' leaders. I've shaken hands with Merkel and Sarkozy. There were trainings as well, where the actually informal part was probably even more fruitful than the official one. Probably same as here, I don't know. So I thought that this international experience of mine, we can use it somehow at Gurtam. So once, after one of the first trade shows we had in Moscow, we were drinking a beer by a fountain with Alexei. Back then he was drinking beer and wine, not as he's doing right now. So, but back then we were drinking beer and sharing our experience about the day, and I say, you see how good partners communicate at our booth. They do have a lot to share, a lot to discuss, and we must inspire this communication. We must create a platform for them to do so. At that time, as you can see, our booth was merely 12 square meters. Definitely not enough space to accommodate all the partners. So you see, we had to occupy Ales and our neighbors' places. It was still 8 years before the MegaBooth era. And who knows where the story would go if then, many years ago, we would have focused on something else and skipped the development of our partner community. Now our telematics community is already 10 years. And it's a good time, it's the right moment to see what we've achieved together with you. Yes, for sure, we reached 2.1 million units connected to Wialon. Yeah, connecting almost 500,000 units last year. Is it a lot or a little? Not that easy to say. As most of the competitors, they do not reveal their real figures. But there are some public companies whose shares you can buy, who have to publish their annual reports, so we can check their data. And let's take Orbcom, for example. They are still, Orbcom, the company who has their own satellites constellation flying above us. And that company, they're bigger than us. They currently have like 2.4 million subscribers by the end of last year. But their growth last year was just 350,000, or 17%. Though we had almost 500,000 and 35% growth. Only this year, we've managed to reach our 2nd million. And this is a great milestone for us. So you see, we've been waiting for this number for a long time. We've been celebrating every 100,000 units we've connected. And I'm really thankful, not only to those lucky ones who got a small present from us and who's mentioned here on the slide, but I'm thankful to each of you who contributed to this number. We have more than, 1,500 partners who contributed to those 2 millions. How did Gurtam become what it is right now? It was really a long, long way, yeah? Here you can see the dynamics of our clientele by years. So you see in, let's say, 2010, we had just 30,000 vehicles connected. At that time, Orbcom already had 500,000. First couple of years, our growth was around 300% per year. That time, we were real pioneers on the market, being the first one to offer device-agnostic, web-based platform for fleet management in software-as-a-service mode. It was a real breakthrough. And on the wave of GLONASS project in Russia, we reached our first 100,000 on our platform. The interesting thing is that most of you guys here, you came to Gurtam after knowing that, after seeing us on various exhibitions, or by knowing that, okay, Gurtam already has like 1 million vehicles connected, so probably that people from Belarus are not that bad. But there were those who believed in technology created by Alexei long before we've transformed into a global company. So it's not only our conference that celebrates its 10th anniversary, it's also our relationship with some of the companies who are here today, who's been with us for 10 years and more. And I would like to request a special round of applause to those brave people listed here who had all the options available, But I don't know how and why they believed in a small startup from Belarus. Thank you, guys. And I'm sure, and you're probably sure as well, those people are here. There are more companies, but you see Daniel, Harm, Aliaksandr, Jorge, and others are here today. So if you meet them during the coffee break, please ask them how and why they came to Gurtam. Try finding out their story. But the more partners we were connecting, the harder it was to keep the same pace. As you can see, the number of new units we were connecting each year almost always exceeds the number for the previous year. But is it so difficult to sustain the growth rate? Yes, for sure. You see, the percentage goes down from like 300% to 30-something. Why is it happening? The case is that not all our partners, they want to grow at an increasing rate, unfortunately. After all, I mean, it makes sense. The larger the business, the greater are the pitfalls with difficulties with management, personnel, expenses, some risks and other obstacles that different companies stumble upon when growing out of a small business. So, and it was very surprising for me when I did that calculation. Imagine, only a quarter of all the partners are growing at the same rate as us, 35% per year and more. 75% of all the partners are growing slower than that. And this is how math works. So imagine there is a partner A who has, let's say, 1,000 vehicles connected to Wialon at the beginning of a year. Each month, he connects 50 vehicles. So you see, first month, 50 vehicles will be 5%, then 4.8, 4.5, and so on. For a year, that partner would have 55% growth, which is a huge, actually, number. Only 10% of all our partners grow at the same rate. But what happens next? There goes second year, and with the same number of vehicles connected per month, the percentage keeps going down and down. So the annual growth rate would be just 35. Accordingly, only in order to maintain the same growth rate of 5% per month, that partner should be connecting not 50, but 100 units per month. And that number would be growing as well. At the same time, more and more efforts are required to work with the current customer base, which is growing as well. And this is very important. Cases when a fleet owner is reminded about Wialon only when the new bill comes to him, unfortunately, are not so uncommon. And this is a big question to some of our partners. In such situations, all the efforts of hardware manufacturers to create better hardware, better software, would be in vain if the process of integration and implementation of the software and hardware at certain fleet has not been properly managed. Then we can do nothing from our side. So eventually, some of the partners, they dare to push their business and grow at an increasing rate, though others keep the same rate of 50 vehicles per month for decades, and the percentage goes down and down. That's what you see on our chart as well. But as you see down here, for the last 3 years, the total amount of new units we connect per year is constantly growing. And which is even more important, the percentage, here you see, keeps growing steadily as well. And this is a very big achievement for my team. And also a very big headache for me. You know, once all of us at Gurtam, we were sharing one office room, yeah? And now we have 200 plus people in lots of locations all over the globe. In that sense, this conference is a great occasion not only to meet all the partners, it's also a great occasion for me to meet all Gurtam people who are working all over the globe. And with this conference, they have a perfect reason to come to Minsk. At the time of 300% growth, we were working differently. Everyone was at arm's length. So Alexei was replying forum messages himself and consulted people at forum and emails. That's what he's doing with Flespi right now. But with Wialon is totally different. The more the team grows, the harder it is to keep the same speed. The harder it is to keep that, spirit of a startup and the way of communication. Keep that joint responsibility for the overall result. So, alongside with the team expansion, we continue the transformation of our internal organizational structure. We create more and more levels of hierarchy. We create different new departments. Every year, I think how to adapt our structure to the needs of the market, striving to create a model of the most effective interaction, both between companies' departments and in outside communication with our partners. For this very purpose, last year, our developers were distributed into teams dealing with separate products, be it hosting, local, niched apps, or mobile applications. This year, we are improving the work with technical issues, technical questions that we receive from you. So now, we have a dedicated specialist in every development team. So this very group is responsible to communicate with you on the most sophisticated technical issues and bugs. Also, our tech support department was split into two teams, 24/7 service and a technical consulting and training department. Now, depending on the complexity of your question, it gets assigned to a specific group. So simple questions are solved quickly, and serious issues that require in-depth analysis are individually processed either by tech consulting, hardware group, or by the developers' teams. For sure, for the bugs they've created, they should reply themselves, right? So you can have actually a deeper look on that topic of how we communicate, how our support works on a dedicated workshop. One of the 14 workshops we are having today. And generally, the amount of interesting content we are having this year, really fascinating. We had 33 trainings yesterday. Then today we are proceeding here with 4 keynotes on this stage. Then we are having 14 workshops and 10 panel discussions. 72 presentations by Gurtam people, by our partners from hardware and software sides, by our partners from different corners of the world. And I'm particularly pleased that around half of all the content of that very conference is created not by Gurtam, but created by our partners. I would like to actually thank, I've been preparing this presentation for some time, and I know that it's not an easy task to prepare it. So I'm particularly thankful to all those of you who prepared a presentation, a speech, something for this conference. I know how difficult it is. And I would like to thank those who prepared, and I would like to thank Anastasia and all the marketing team who combined all that interesting content with some interesting moments, fancy ones, and mixed all that in a perfect schedule of this conference. Thank you. And now getting back to the geography of our community. So you see how our millions are distributed across the continents. So currently we have like 1.3 in the Russian-speaking world. Latin America with 220,000 goes on the second place. And the Middle East is growing faster than anyone else, showing 40% increase during the last 12 months. Actually, we wanted to congratulate the state leaders for the progress we have in different regions, but their excellencies ignored our invitation. So we are to thank Denise, Olga, and Sergey, and all their business development teams, and all the partners for the progress we have in different regions of the world. You've made this possible. Drilling a bit deeper, I can say that we have almost 800,000 units connected in Russia. It still remains the key market for us. No surprises, yeah? Only Mexico and Ukraine managed to have more than 100,000 units, same as last year. Also quite stable situation here. I hope Kazakhstan will soon join that two countries As in Kazakhstan, our partners have connected 15,000 units during the last 12 months, and now they have 92,000 units connected to Wialon. So probably even this year, we will have another reason to celebrate. Based on the number of studies, I can say that our market share in Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan are definitely more than 30%. And in Mexico, it is something around 15%. The number of countries where our partners have more than 10,000 units connected have grown from 18 to 22. Now we have Colombia, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and the UAE joining the 10K club. There are 91 countries where we have at least 1,000 units connected to Wialon, and 137 countries where we have at least 100 vehicles at Wialon. And for sure, a bunch of countries that still have everything ahead. For sure, I cannot expect much from Monaco or San Marino. But when I was browsing through the list of the countries, I was quite surprised to know that we have just 43 vehicles in Pakistan, 33 in Tunisia, 23 in Luxembourg, even having, 57 units in South Korea is so, be close to what we have in North Korea. Unfortunately, I cannot reveal the numbers for the North Korea. Yeah, you understand. Those dictators, they also have that community. And here in Belarus, it is not allowed to reveal that strategic information on our fellow Kim Jong-un. So yeah, we need to stop laughing. I hope my microphone is still on. Okay, so we will go on. Getting back to Europe, having just 3 units in Iceland. This year, at least 3 Gurtam employees visited Iceland. Guys, have you left your iPhones with VTX there? I don't know. Actually, that is not the development that I would like to see in a country that was victorious in the famous Cod Wars against UK. So, we need to talk about this on Monday with those who are respected. Okay, so I mentioned so many countries, and the reason for that is that I want to underline that the global expansion of Wialon is not over yet. So, if some of our partners are considering widening their presence on different markets, please give me a call, and I'll share some interesting points on the map with you. Do not worry, I'm not sending anyone to the North Korea. Maybe except just those 3 who returned empty-handed from Iceland. But would there be any reason to go there? We need to check the market data. And to know that, I usually use 4 main criteria: GDP, road network size, number of registered vehicles, and population. So this one looks like a perfect destination, right? The final one. Kirill, it's your chance to get packed after Iceland. Get your march, get set, and go. Final destination. Yeah. So, with respect to those numbers, to those criteria, we have the list of countries where Wialon reached the most success. Last year, the top 3 countries where Wialon had the greatest success were Georgia, Jamaica, and Moldova. Over the 12 months, criteria like GDP and population grew a little bit. But at Wialon, we had 35% growth, as you remember. And now the leaders are Georgia, Moldova, and Kazakhstan. On the slide, you can see 20 countries where Wialon is most popular right now. And you see the changes in dynamics of their positions. So you see Kuwait had the biggest progress, and Jamaica, that I praised last year, has lost 9 places. You can notice some small countries with a bigger presence of Wialon here, of our technologies. But let's say Mexico is not in the top 20. And the market potential and our expectations of this country are much bigger than what we have right now there. And tomorrow at our final gala party, we will award those who reached our top 50 and achieved gold, silver, and bronze partner status. It is great that almost all the partners who managed to get to the top 50 are here today. So probably that Gurtam Partner Awards may take some time. Another reason for it to be longer is that for the first time ever, we are having awards for the top 10 fastest developing hardware manufacturers, fastest growing ones. And you know, for us at Gurtam, it is a great honor to create that software for you and to be a partner of yours in the long term. After all, we do not just, distribute a piece of software. I do believe that over the last 10 years, we have fundamentally changed the way how that business works, how companies conduct GPS tracking business. You see, our first international exhibition, CeBIT 2010, the banner behind me says, "Start your own GPS tracking business." Previously, there was a very high threshold for starting this business. In order to become a distributor of some other companies, one had to make huge investments, commitments. One had to share a big part of his profits with the manufacturer or mother company. Or even worse, just get a small percentage from them. And you had no choice of hardware, software, sensors, nothing. Like a golden cage, which is not really golden. And there are people here who started like that, who faced a direct competition with the manufacturer on some large-scale projects. We've totally changed that. Now it is much easier and much more comfortable to run GPS tracking business. And there are people here who started working with us, not even having a spare $1,000 in their pockets. By the way, have you noticed who's our neighbors here? Another small company from Eastern Europe exhibiting in Europe for the first time. It's BCE, Baltic Car Equipment. And you know the progress they've made recently. So, together with BCE and the others, we create that community that we cherish. We create that auspicious soil so that every effort, every small seed can grow and flourish. And it's not only about the revenues we made. It's much more about friendship and cooperation, both on regional and cross-border levels. Every year we are growing together, and we are getting closer to each other. We meet in different parts of the world, and we spend time at our MegaBooths. Actually, growing from that type of a stand to a MegaBooth was also a very risky concept, which has been growing in my mind for the last couple of years. Till the chance when in 2017, together with Sergei Levchenko, we went to the organizer's office of MWCA in San Francisco to extend our participation for the next year. So, you see, that time, 2 years ago, our booth had pretty same size. It was a small booth on the back row, probably a little bit better designed than this, the first one of ours. Yeah, now we have designers in Gurtam. So, for the next year, we've been offered two options. Either keep in the same location, or to have a better one, with a guaranteed traffic, next to the ladies' room. A nice location, but not actually our target audience. So, there was also another spot available, just in between Verizon and Ericsson. A location which was 10 times bigger than the one we had. That's my chance, I thought. But actually, we never needed that much space for Gurtam. No matter how big Wialon is, even together with Flespi and all the niched apps, that's too much for us. And actually, a bill of 200,000 was more than we were able to afford. But we've taken the risk and applied for that bigger area. And then it happened almost like in that famous US movie, It's a Wonderful Life. I hope that there are people here who've seen that one. It's a movie about a man who almost, it's a classical US Christmas movie. A movie about the man who almost committed suicide on the Christmas Eve because of the debts and frustration he had. He had no way to find money in order not to get arrested. But eventually, his townspeople helped him and donated more than enough to cover the missing amount. And for sure, as in every US movie, there's a happy ending where his brother tells to George, the richest man in town. So, after just a couple of weeks, Sergey reported me that community supported the idea of MegaBooths, and 3 companies already signed up to exhibit together with us. Pod M2M, Assured Tracking, and Golden M believed in the idea of MegaBooths. And that made me feel almost like the richest man in town in that movie. So we've used the same MegaBooth concept at our trade shows in Moscow, Dubai, Mexico, and Los Angeles. 48 co-exhibitors and thousands of visitors made our MegaBooth as lively and as full of positive emotions as the house where George met his townspeople. But still, no place better than Minsk, Belarus, you know? Here we have, out there, we have dozens of hardware manufacturers. It is more than I've ever seen during the last 10 years on any international exhibition that I've attended. Actually, this spring I was very disappointed to find out that CeBIT, our first international exhibition, the exhibition that's been around there for 30 years, is not taking place anymore. And now I think maybe it happened because of Gurtam. Maybe we are the ones to blame. Maybe it's us who pulled all the active audience to our other MegaBooths in Moscow, Dubai, Los Angeles, and we never done a MegaBooth at CeBIT last year. Maybe it's us who pulled all this audience here to Minsk, Belarus, another great event in Europe, and we are not having it in Hanover at CeBIT time. Who knows? Who knows? But it's great that we are having it here in Minsk, Belarus, where the headquarters and the origin of Gurtam. So, we, 600 people, representing 72 nations of the world. And today, looking at this audience, looking at the agenda we have, it is really hard for me to imagine how we can make this conference more fruitful, more interesting, more valuable for you. Probably there would not be a better conference than this one. So guys, seize the day. Appreciate what you have right now. Carpe diem. But do not forget to dream, set high goals, and pave your way to reach them. And even if something would go wrong, never give up, and you should know that there is always a community around you that will help if needed. Like it happened to George in that famous movie. So we've reached our 2 millions, and now I can declare my goal for the next years. You know, I want to spend the holidays with my family, probably watch the same movie again. And then I want to come to the office and open the annual report of Orbcom to find out that we have more units than they do. This goal is much more challenging than reaching 2, 3, 5, or whatever number of millions. This time, not everything is in our hands. Orbcom is acquiring new companies every year, but we prefer natural growth. So we are growing together with you. And maybe reaching this target would take us a year or 2, or maybe even longer. But I'm sure that together, we will be able to leave competitors behind. And you know who's gonna help us? Santa, because we track him as well. Out of 2 million vehicles, we have at least 17 Santa sleighs. And we are still trying to find out who is the real one. So, my friends, colleagues, and partners, believe in miracles, but first of all, believe in yourselves. Enjoy these days in Minsk. They are never coming back. Thank you.
Thank you, Aliaksandr. I see we have no questions in the chat, so we'll leave it for Aliaksandr during the